You are nothing but a security guard, a gateman. You think I will wait forever for a man who cannot even afford to fly me to Dubai to visit him? I have needs, Emeka, real needs. And you cannot meet a single one of them.
Amanda, I send you money every month. Every single month. I haven't missed once.
Money? You call that money? My friends' husbands are building houses, buying cars, taking their wives on holidays. And you send me $400 and expect me to clap for you. I am not your house girl, Emeka. I'm a woman with standards.
I'm working, Amanda. I'm working so we can have a future.
Future. I'm tired of your future, Emeka. I'm living in the present. She hung up the phone. Emeka sat on the edge of his bed in the small room he shared with 2 other security guards in Awir, Dubai. The ceiling fan turned slowly above him. Outside, the desert heat pressed against the thin walls like a fist. He looked at his phone, the screen now dark, and said nothing. He had learned over 3 years that there were no right words for moments like this. He simply went back to work. Ah, my people, come closer, sit down. Let me tell you about a man who gave everything he had to a woman, who gave everything he sent to another man. This isn't just a story about betrayal. This is a story about what happens when a good man finally stops being silent. But before we go any further, please do me a favor. Like this video, subscribe to this channel, and drop a comment telling me where in the world you are watching from. I want to know how far this story travels. Now, are you comfortable? Good, let's begin. Emeka Okafor grew up in Onitsha, in a house where the roof leaked when it rained, and his mother patched it with black nylon and prayers. He was the second of 4 children, and from the time he was old enough to carry a bucket, he understood one thing clearly: nobody was coming to save them. If anything was going to change, it had to change by hand. He was not the kind of man who complained, not the kind who sat under a mango tree and blamed the government or his stars or the neighbor who had more. He worked. He worked as a mechanic apprentice at 16. He worked as a truck loader at 19. He worked as a cleaner in a hotel in Abuja at 21, sleeping in a shared room with 5 other men and sending whatever was left to his mother in Onitsha. By 24, he had saved enough to apply for a security job in Dubai through a recruitment agency in Lagos. The process took 8 months. 8 months of forms and medicals and fees that nearly wiped out everything he had saved. But the visa came through, and on a Tuesday morning in March, Emeka Okafor boarded a plane for the first time in his life. He sat by the window and watched Nigeria disappear beneath the clouds. He didn't cry. He wasn't the crying type, but he held the armrest tightly the whole way. He had met Amanda 2 years before Dubai, at a cousin's wedding in Nunui. She was in the 3rd row, wearing a yellow scarf that caught the afternoon light, laughing at something her friend had said. She had a laugh that filled a room, the kind of laugh that made strangers smile without knowing why. Emeka was not a man who approached women easily. He was quiet by nature, careful with his words, more comfortable with action than speech. But something about Amanda made him cross the room. They talked for 3 hours that afternoon, about everything and nothing, about growing up in the East, about their families, about what they wanted their lives to look like. She told him she worked as a sales rep for a cosmetics company, that she wanted her own business one day, that she believed in hardworking men. He believed her. They dated for a year. He was faithful, attentive, steady. He fixed things in her apartment without being asked. He remembered small details, the way she liked her tea, the side of the bed she preferred, the specific biscuit she ate when she was anxious. He loved her the way quiet men love, deeply and without announcement. When the Dubai opportunity came, she was the first person he told. "Go," she said, holding his face in both hands. "Go and build our future. I'll be here when you come back." They married 3 months before he left. A small wedding, just family and close friends. a rented canopy in the compound of his mother's house in Onitsha. Amanda wore white lace. She cried when they exchanged vows, real tears, he was certain of it. He left for Dubai 2 weeks later, his wife's photograph tucked into the front pocket of his carry-on bag. My people, let me tell you what Dubai looks like from the inside when you are not a tourist. It looks like a 12-hour shift standing at the gate of a construction company in the industrial area of Awir, the sun turning the tarmac into something that shimmers and burns. It looks like a shared room, 4 men, 2 bunk beds, 1 bathroom, 1 small refrigerator that hums all night. It looks like a meal of rice and sardines cooked on a single electric hot plate because the restaurants are expensive and the money needs to go home. The Dubai that Emeka lived in wasn't the Dubai on Instagram. There were no fountains, no gold-plated hotels, no brunches on rooftop terraces. There was the gate he stood at, the uniform he wore, the baton he carried, and the slow passage of hours that felt longer in the heat. His salary was 1,800 dirhams a month, roughly $490. After his share of the rent, his feeding, his phone credit, and the small amount he kept for emergencies, he sent Amanda $400 every single month without fail. He did not miss once, not in 3 years. He sent it and then he called. Every Sunday evening, Dubai time, which was early afternoon in Nigeria, he would sit on the edge of his bunk, his back against the wall, and call her. Sometimes she picked up on the first ring, sometimes on the fourth, sometimes not at all. When she didn't pick up, he told himself she was at the market, at church, visiting her mother. He told himself the many reasonable things a man tells himself when the truth is too heavy to lift. He bought her things too, perfume from the airport duty-free on his 1 trip home in 2 years. A gold bracelet, small but real, that he saved for 3 months to afford. A prayer bead her mother had asked for. He carried them in his bag, like offerings, things that said, I think of you, even when you can't see me. He thought of her constantly. He didn't know that she thought of someone else. His name was Chike. Amanda had known him before Emeka. They had dated briefly in university, broken up over something small, drifted apart the way young people do. But when Emeka left for Dubai, Chike reappeared. He worked in real estate in Abuja. He drove a Camry and wore Italian shoes and had a way of speaking that made things sound effortless, like money was something that simply happened to him. He called Amanda one evening, 3 months after Emeka left. Just to check in, he said, just to say hello. She told herself it was harmless. The calls became regular, then the visits. Chike would drive from Abuja to Enugu, where Amanda was living, and take her to restaurants that Emeka had never been able to afford. He would bring gifts, not perfume from an airport, but handbags, shoes, a phone upgrade. Amanda told herself she deserved it, that she was lonely, that Emeka had left her, and this was simply what loneliness looked like. She didn't tell herself the other thing, the thing about the $400 that arrived every month from Dubai, the thing about how that money, all of it, had stopped going to their joint savings account and started going somewhere else entirely. The first time she spent it on Chike, it was a hotel weekend in Lagos. She told herself it was a one-time thing. The second time, it was a contribution for his car repair. The third time, she stopped counting. By the end of the first year, Emeka's Dubai money had paid for 3 hotel weekends, 2 pairs of shoes for Chike, a birthday dinner at a restaurant in Victoria Island, and a weekend trip to Calabar that Amanda posted on Instagram with a caption that said, God's grace. Emeka saw the photos. He liked them. He commented, a love heart emoji. He didn't know who had paid for the trip. He didn't know who was in the hotel room the photographer didn't show. By the second year, Amanda had stopped pretending, with even herself. She had moved Chike into a rhythm. He came on weekends. She cooked for him in the flat that Emeka's money paid for. He sat in the chair Emeka had bought and watched football on the television Emeka had sent money to buy. When Emeka called on Sunday evenings, Amanda would step into the bedroom and speak to him in a low voice while Chike sat in the sitting room scrolling through his phone.
How are you, my love?
Emeka would ask. I am fine, she would say. Just tired. Work has been much.
Are you eating well? I sent the money on Friday.
Yes, I got it. Thank you.
I'm working extra shifts this month. I want to send a little more. I'm thinking we should start planning the land purchase for our house.
She would look at the bedroom door, behind which Chike waited, and say, Yes, good idea. Let's talk about it later.
I love you, Amanda.
Me too. Let me go and rest. She would hang up and go back to the sitting room, and Chike would look up from his phone and ask, Was that him? And she would say yes, without meeting his eyes. And Chike would shrug and change the channel. But even in that arrangement, Amanda began to notice things about Chike that she hadn't noticed at the beginning. He borrowed money easily and returned it slowly. He spoke about big plans, the real estate deals he was closing, the connections he had in Abuja, the money that was always just about to come. It was always just about to come. She noticed that his Italian shoes were beginning to look worn at the heel, that the Camry had a problem with the air conditioning that he hadn't fixed in 6 months, that when the bill came at restaurants, he would reach for his phone and then say, Babe, can you handle this one? I'll sort you out. She handled it. With Emeka's money, she told herself she was just helping a friend, that Chike was going through a difficult patch, that things would change when his deals came through. They didn't come through. Emeka had opened a joint account before he left. He deposited money into it every month with one instruction. Do not touch this unless we agree. It is for the land, for the house, for when I come back. He checked the account balance once a month, always on the last Sunday. He would open the banking app, see the number grow, and feel something settle in his chest, like the suffering had a purpose, like the heat and the long shifts and the sardine and rice had a destination. For the first 8 months, the balance grew steadily. Then it began to drop. Small at first. He told himself Amanda must have needed something for the house. Repair work, maybe. He didn't ask immediately because he didn't want to seem like he was monitoring her. He trusted her. By the 15th month, the account that should have held close to $9,000 held less than $2,000. He called her.
Amanda, I was looking at the account.
A pause. Yes?
The balance, it has dropped significantly. What happened to the savings?
Another pause, longer this time. Emeka, I had some emergencies. My mother was sick. The rent went up. There were some things I needed to sort out.
That is over $7,000, Amanda.
Are you calling me a thief? Her voice shifted, sharpened. Is that what this is? You sit in Dubai and monitor me like a criminal? I've been here managing everything alone while you enjoy Dubai, and you call me to interrogate me?
I'm not interrogating you. I'm asking.
I don't owe you a breakdown of every kobo. I am your wife, not your employee. She hung up. Emeka sat with his phone in his hand, the Awir heat pressing through the thin walls of his room. His 2 roommates were asleep. The ceiling fan turned slowly. He didn't call back. He told himself she was stressed, that managing a home alone was difficult, that he would sort it out when he came back, that things would make sense when he was there in person. He went back to work the next morning. He stood at the gate for 12 hours. He sent money again at the end of the month. 2 years and 4 months after leaving Nigeria, Emeka booked a flight home. He didn't tell Amanda the exact date. He wanted to surprise her. He imagined her face when she opened the door. He imagined her jumping into his arms the way she used to. He bought a gold necklace at the Dubai airport, more expensive than anything he had bought before. He had saved for it for 4 months. He landed in Lagos on a Wednesday evening and took a bus to Enugu. He arrived at the flat at 9:30 at night, his bag on his shoulder, the necklace in his pocket, his heart full of something he hadn't felt in a long time. He knocked. There was a pause before the door opened. Longer than it should have been. Amanda opened the door. She was wearing a dress he didn't recognize. There was music playing inside, and behind her, in the chair that Emeka had bought, sitting with his legs crossed and a bottle of beer in his hand, was a man Emeka didn't know. The three of them stood in that moment for what felt like a very long time. Emeka. Amanda's voice was flat, not joyful, not shocked, flat, like she was reading his name from a list. You didn't tell me you were coming. I wanted to surprise you. He looked past her at the man in the chair. Who is he? The man stood slowly. He was tall, well-dressed, at ease in a way that told Emeka this wasn't his first time in this flat. This wasn't a stranger. This was someone who knew where the cups were kept. Someone who had sat in that chair many times before. This is Chike, Amanda said, an old friend. Chike extended his hand. How tings, bro? Welcome back. Emeka didn't take the hand. He looked at Amanda. She looked at the floor. He walked into the bedroom, sat on the edge of the bed. His bed, in his flat, paid for with his money. In a city he had left 2 years ago to build a future for the woman, now standing in the doorway, looking at him with something that wasn't love and wasn't guilt, but was something worse than both. It was relief. Like she was relieved he had finally found out, so she no longer had to carry it. How long? He asked. She said nothing. How long, Amanda? She leaned against the doorframe. Does it matter? He looked at her for a long time. Then he reached into his pocket and placed the gold necklace on the bedside table. He didn't give it to her. He simply set it down. He picked up his bag, walked past her, out of the bedroom, through the sitting room where Chike had sat back down in the chair, through the front door, and out into the Enugu night. He spent the first 3 nights in a small hotel near the motor park. He ate jollof rice and stared at the ceiling and didn't call anyone. Not his mother, not his friends, nobody. He needed those 3 days to be completely alone with what had happened, so he could look at it clearly without anyone else's words getting in the way. On the 4th day, he called his older brother, Chukwudi. Chukwudi came and sat with him in the hotel room and listened without interrupting. When Emeka finished talking, Chukwudi said nothing for a while. Then he said, "What do you want to do?" "I want to start again," Emeka said, "from the beginning, but smarter this time." He didn't return to Dubai. There was nothing left to return to. He had already worked out his contract. He had planned to stay in Nigeria, to use the savings to buy land, to begin building. The savings were gone, but the plan, the original plan, the one in his bones since Onitsha, that was still there. He filed for divorce quietly, through a lawyer his brother knew. He didn't fight over the flat. He let her keep it. He had paid for it, but he didn't want the walls that had held another man's presence. He moved in with his brother temporarily and began to think. He had spent 4 years learning something in Dubai that had nothing to do with security work. He had spent 4 years watching how the industrial compounds he guarded operated, how goods moved, how contracts were awarded, how the men who owned things spoke differently from the men who worked for them. He had listened. He had asked questions of the managers and the site supervisors who sometimes stopped to talk with him during slow hours. He had read, on his phone, during night shifts, everything he could find about logistics and supply chain and small business formation. He had been educating himself for 4 years without fully realizing it. Now he opened a small logistics company. Just him, a second-hand pickup truck he bought with the last of his personal savings, and a phone full of contacts he had gathered quietly over 4 years of standing at gates and paying attention. He started small. Deliveries within Enugu State, hardware supplies to construction sites. He worked 16-hour days the way he had always worked, without complaint and without announcement. He reinvested every profit. He hired 1 driver, then 2, then 5. He didn't post about it on social media. He didn't tell people what he was building. He simply built. My people, you know how this goes. Karma doesn't send a text message. It simply arrives. Chike's deals never came through. By the time the divorce papers landed, he had borrowed money from Amanda 3 times and repaid her once. When the flat rent went up again, he offered to help and then didn't. When Amanda lost her sales rep job during a company restructuring, Chike became, suddenly, very busy. His calls became shorter. His visits stopped. One evening, Amanda called him and the number rang out. She called again. It rang out again. She sent a message. He read it and didn't reply. She drove to his apartment in Abuja. A woman she didn't know opened the door. A woman who looked comfortable, who looked like she belonged there the way Amanda had once felt she belonged in the Enugu flat. Chike appeared behind the woman. He looked at Amanda with the same flat expression Amanda had once given Emeka at the door. "I thought you knew we were done," he said. "I thought that was understood." He closed the door. Amanda sat in her car in the parking lot of Chike's apartment block for 40 minutes. She thought about a lot of things during those 40 minutes. She thought about a man who had sent her $400 every month for 3 years without missing once. A man who had bought her a bracelet and perfume and a prayer bead for her mother. A man who had set a gold necklace on a bedside table and walked away without raising his voice. She drove back to Enugu with nothing. The logistics company was called Okafor and Sons, even though Emeka had no sons yet. He used the name because it sounded like something that would last. By its 3rd year, it had 12 trucks, contracts with 2 construction firms and a government supply agency, and a small office in the new commercial district of Enugu with his name on the door. He wasn't rich in the way people mean when they say rich, but he was solid, rooted, built on ground that no one could take from him because he had laid every brick himself. He was in a meeting with a new client when his receptionist knocked and entered quietly. She handed him a folded note. "A woman is outside. She says she knows you. Her name is Amanda." He looked at the note for a moment. Then he folded it, put it in his breast pocket, and finished the meeting. He took his time. He wasn't in a hurry. When he came out, she was sitting in the reception area. She looked different, not older exactly, but quieter. The confidence she used to wear like a second skin had been replaced by something more careful. She was dressed neatly, but simply. No designer bag, no elaborate hair. She looked like a woman who had made a long journey and wasn't sure she had the right address. She stood when she saw him. Emeka. "Amanda," he gestured to his office. "Come in." They sat across from each other, the desk between them. Outside the window, Enugu moved through its afternoon. He waited. "I heard you were doing well," she said. "I am." A silence. She looked at her hands. "I want to apologize. Properly. Not through a message or a call. I wanted to look at you and say it." He said nothing. "I wasted what we had. I wasted your sacrifices. I wasted the money you sent, and I wasted the trust you gave me, and I wasted the future you were building for both of us. And I'm sorry. I'm genuinely sorry, Emeka." He looked at her for a long time. The ceiling fan turned above them, not so different from the one in Awir, except that this one he owned. "I believe you," he said finally. Her eyes softened. "I have been struggling. Since Chike, since the job. I have been—" "I know," he said quietly. "I know you have." She looked up. "Is there any chance—" "No." His voice was not harsh. It was simply final. The way a door sounds when it closes on a room that has been completely emptied. "There is no chance of that, Amanda. What we had is finished. That door has been closed for a long time." Her eyes filled. She nodded slowly. "But," he continued, "I'm not your enemy. I don't wish you suffering. If you need a reference for a job application, I'll write one. If you need advice on getting back on your feet, I'll give it. What I won't do is go backwards." He reached into his desk drawer and placed an envelope on the desk. "There is enough in there to cover 3 months of rent and some living expenses. Not because I owe you, I don't owe you anything. But because I'm not the kind of man who watches someone drown if he has a rope, she stared at the envelope. A tear dropped onto her knee. Emeka, You don't need to say anything else. Take it, stand up, and go and build something with your life. Something that belongs to you. Something no man can take back. She picked up the envelope. She stood. At the door, she paused and turned. Did you ever hate me? He thought about it honestly. About the Awir ceiling fan. About the gate he stood at for 12 hours a day. About the necklace he set on the bedside table. About the bus stop in Onitsha, where he had sat the night he came back and had nowhere to go. No, he said. I was angry for a while, but anger is expensive, and I couldn't afford to spend on things that don't build. She nodded and walked out. He sat in his office alone for a few minutes after she left. Then he picked up his phone and called his next client. There was work to do. My people, you see this life? A man can stand at a gate in the Dubai heat for 4 years, eating rice and sardines, wearing the same boots, sending money home faithfully, and come back to find that everything he built has been spent on someone else's comfort. And yet the same man can rise, not by lottery, not by miracle, but by the same quiet discipline that made him cross an ocean in the first place. Emeka didn't hate Amanda. He didn't waste years planning revenge. He simply kept moving, the way he had always moved, one foot in front of the other, in the rain, in the heat, in the dark, until the ground beneath his feet was solid enough to stand on. Some people will enter your life and take what you have built and spend it on people who don't deserve it. And when those people leave them, they will come back to your door with empty hands and regret in their eyes. What you do at that door says everything about who you are. Emeka opened it, gave what he could, and closed it, gently, permanently, without hatred and without weakness. That is not weakness, my people. That is the rarest kind of strength. If this story moved you, please like and share it. Leave a comment below. Tell me, what would you have done if you were Emeka? Would you have given her that envelope? Or would you have shown her the door? Drop your thoughts below, and wherever you are watching from, I see you. Stay blessed, and remember, loyalty is never wasted. It always finds its way back home.